share what we got of yours, 'cause we don't share all of mine. Keep on rolling, just a mile to go. Keep on rolling, my old buddy, you're moving much too slow. I just jumped to watch me right outside the fence. Took his rings for bucks and change. Ain't that heaven sent?
Hurts my ears to listen, it burns my eyes to see. Go down a million colors, and it might as well be me. Silver, now I play for life. One little spot and one little bud at the corner of the night. Now the die is shaking, now the die must fall. Ain't no way to get the game. You don't go home at all. Right with Texas, 4th of July. Sun's so hot, the clouds so low, the eagles fill the sky.
Next train when you ride, gotta settle one old score, one small point of pride.
Need a place a man can ash in it, will keep him from the sun. Need a bed can give us us down, you keep us on the ride.
Here I am. Ta-da! Welcome to Studio Remote. My name is Moacir. I am the Research Data Librarian at Columbia University Libraries, and I'm a little bit distracted by the monitoring, so whatever. Welcome to Studio Remote, Coding with the Dead. Today is a bit of a throwback to the original heads. Excuse me. In the sense that, well, there are a couple things actually today I noticed. So I have, when I picked the concert for the day, I don't think this is a surprise to anybody that I always try to pick a day that's the same day. OBS, okay, so something weird happened. OBS quit and then restarted. I think I'm back. Let's wait until YouTube confirms. Okay, YouTube confirms. So, sure, looks a bit like a tablecloth. In any case, right. So, since I started Coding with the Dead, like obviously, and I've tried to get this, make it so that there's a concert that's the same day as the day I'm streaming, so April 5th in today's case. And in order to do that, I created a bookmark on my browser that's just like a link to a query on archive.org, and I'll put this in chat, why not? And the funny thing about this query is that it is for April 6th, which means I've been using this query for 1 day shy of a full year. Next week will be, it's a little thing, I guess, but, wowzers. We've been hauling along with this little stream. All kinds of stuff in the way here. Anyway, so today's plan is a little bit, I'm calling an audible, because today's plan was supposed to be that I would talk about, so the plan is ding, right there. I would be talking about the Rose Hall project briefly and giving a brief update on it. And then when I sat down and opened it up and so on, I started kind of wanting to, actually work on it. So I think that may be what I'll do. So the Wandertext stuff I'll put off until next week, as usual, and I'll do the Rose Hall stuff. So the Rose Hall project, as a reminder for those of you who, so this is what I mean by the old heads, is because the first show Studio Remote ever had was about the Rose Hall project, and Alex and I worked to put together this website. And we didn't finish it, we didn't think we'd finish it, but we spent a lot of time pair programming and talking about all kinds of stuff, and it was kind of a good time. Solo streaming is a little bit dull, hence by adding music to this one. And since the Rose Hall project stopped, I wouldn't say that the project has been dormant since, but it hasn't gotten a ton of attention. And Professor Naylor, who is the intellectual force behind the project, reached out and wants to have a sort of touch base type meeting because we're closing in on the end of the school year. And so I figured I should probably look over everything and make sure everything is in good shape and start adding some of the features. So this project isn't quite as organized, I suppose, as the Wandertext project is, in the sense that a lot of what Alex and I did was trying to solve stuff during the stream, and then we kind of never went back and refactored or anything. So that's part of what I've been doing. But let me describe the project. So let's switch over to my computer. So, so Rose Hall is a former plantation in Montego Bay in Jamaica, so it's on the coast. And it's, there was a plantation there, and there's this whole myth about like the White Witch of Rose Hall that currently makes this plantation, and especially the plantation house, I suppose, to be one of the sort of a tourist destination in Jamaica. I don't know, I've never been. So what happened is that the Palmers, they kept track of the enslaved people at the plantation, and they took notes and wrote in registries and other such documents to provide this kind of historical trace of these people. There were 208 discrete individuals who were recorded and lived part of their lives, or some of them their entire lives, within Rose Hall under conditions of enslavement. And the Professor Naylor, I don't think I'm misrepresenting things when I say that Professor Naylor's goal with this new book that has to do with Rose Hall, and I'll try to pick up the title rather surreptitiously. One of the goals is to sort of combat the nature of the myth of the White Witch of Rose Hall, and talk about the enslaved people whose stories are never told. People go to Rose Hall and they go to Rose Hall and listen to a story that's probably fake, as opposed to listening to the actual stories that there are to tell there. So Professor Naylor's book title is, this is Unsilencing Slavery, Telling Truths About Rose Hall Plantation, Jamaica. So it's coming out in July, and we'd definitely love to have something up by July. That would be great. So we're going to be working on that. And there's it's coming from the University of Georgia Press, so let's see if I can get it's Unsilencing, it's for some people, Unsilencing Slavery, Telling Truths Okay, so it's already, well, we don't need to use the Amazon entry, we can use the University of Georgia Press entry. So, so here's the cover, and you can see here in the background on the cover the kind of registry that Professor Naylor has been working with. So if I click on this, will this enlarge it? Sort of, but I want it bigger. But you can see, so some of the people, you can see that like Arabella is one of the people who's listed as Negro. I can't remember exactly what the name of this column is. 35 would have been Arabella's age. And there's, I think that this is color and this is country or origin. So this Negro here is part of the racial categorization that existed. That was part of the data collected on the various people living in Rose Hall, and then African is their place of origin. I think there are effectively only two entries here. There's African and Creole. For race, or for color, sorry, they don't call it race, they call it color. So for color, it's a little bit more, there are a couple more options. And age is age, and then there's more data that's not on the cover here. So here you can see Creole, African, Negro, Sambo. So for example, the amount of blackness is encoded in your color designation. And, there's other information about families, etc. So it's Professor Naylor has gone through quite a bit of effort to get all of this documentary evidence to make this kind of documentary evidence publicly available. And it's an exciting project, and I see that the university calls it, let me zoom in a little bit, calls it a microhistory of enslaved people's experiences. So a microhistory, I really like that because it tells the story, and I think it only tells about 14 years of the history, because the records that we have are from 1817 to 1832. And I wish I knew off the top of my head what happened in 1832, but I don't know to change it. If you look at the Wikipedia page, there's nothing really here. On March 1820, there was a marriage, and then John Rose Palmer died in 1827. And then it doesn't say anything about the state of the plantation. So I'll have to read Professor Miller's book to find out more about it, I guess. And then, so there's all this archival information, and there's going to be a webpage about it that unsilences this kind of slavery. And actually, now that I'm looking at there's this very distinct Pan-African / Jamaican color palette here that may carry over into our project, that we're building upon this. And I think there's references in the manuscript to this project. So, okay, so that's the book. And then the site is this for now. A lot of this is for the time being. And so that's what I'm going to be doing. There's a couple things that irritate me greatly with the design here. There are a couple things that I added intentionally just to sort of keep track of, like these borders and whatever. But there's obviously things that I want to do here, and I want to consolidate the design here and refactor it out. It doesn't strike me that it's very well organized, the code currently. So, for example, right before the stream started, you can see that there's gradients here. If I hover the mouse over them, the color is green. But there are these gradients here, and it's the same gradient here. So that was defined twice. I mean, that's silly. It should be defined once, and then that's it. So I currently, this is all an Ember project, and this is all defined in an Ember service, which I guess is okay, but also seems a little bit... Let me think about this. So, in Ember, you use services to hold, among other things. They are singletons, so there's only one instance of a service when you run an app. So this is in contrast to, there's a class of a person. Actually, I think that's still, but there used to be a class of a person back when this was using data. And obviously there are more than one person. There's more than one instance of a person here and here. It's the same thing. But in a service, there's only one. So, for example, the way that when I highlight over here and I click and this is green and you saw the name change, that's because there's a service that keeps track of who the active person is, and it keeps it in sync between both the list and the pedals here. So same thing. And currently I'm storing a lot of the logic or I'm trying to move a lot of the logic about the visualization, because these are two different things that access the logic differently. I put them in a service called SVG, but I don't know that that's necessarily right. I think that it might make more sense to make something like a class-based helper. Let me see what the Ember idiom might be for that. Ember class-based helper. So they oh, okay, there we go. So they have a, it's totally normal to have a helper class. I thought that it was mostly just functions. Make sure, yeah, this is 4.2. Okay, so let's just do it that way. That makes much more sense than doing things with a service. So let's start with that. Let's take everything so I can show this. Let's switch to light mode. Yeah. All right, so let's look at these services. SVG is what it's called. So I've written out right here. So you can see there's a bunch of there is information here that has to be, well, maybe it makes sense to keep this in a service because the width and the height have to be tracked. And I have a funny feeling that if I move everything into a helper, the auto tracking will break. Yeah, probably. So, so there are a couple things here. So you can see that this is the width and the height of the SVG, which allows me to, because it's tracked, it allows me to do a little bit of this like responsive styling here. You can see the visualization moves, and I actually kind of like that shimmer of the pedals, even though it's unintentional. What it's doing there is every time it redraws, it does a little bit of different math to make the pedals, so as a result they get this shimmer, and that might be a really cool effect to incorporate. But okay, so we have that, and then we have so that's the width and height. Those are tracked, which means that whenever the width and the height change here, and there are functions that set them here elsewhere, whenever they change, wherever they're referred to elsewhere also changes. The margins, so this is true of the margins too, because they rely on the height and the width. So the margins change whenever the height and width change. Then we have this the scale bar, which is at the bottom. It also depends on the width because it's 80% the width of the entire visualization area. And then here's the gradient thing that I was talking about. So I picked the interpolate warm gradient and I moved it all into a method called gradient that returns the interpolate warm color, the appropriate color. And so the component that creates this bar and the component that creates each of these pedals, or the gradients for each of these pedals, both refer to this .svg.gradient. And this could be very easily like pulled into a helper, but if I need the service to track the width and the height, which I feel like I do, then, why not put this other stuff here? So, these are various things that are referred to in different components. So circle radius is the actual size of the size of the circle, and it too relies on height and width. So if the height is greater than the width, then it determines which is the shorter extent and then stretches to that limit. One thing I don't like is I think that when it's panoramic like this, then I want the scale bar to be here and to be vertical. So I think that is, I don't know if I'll have time to get that done today, but that would be cool. What I want to work on today is this stuff here. This is much more complicated. But yeah, so this service has the gradient in it. So I could pull this off into a helper with no problems, but as long, like I said, as long as width and height are here, my service. Okay, the other thing I did, the main thing that another main thing I did, oops, is I made another service called data. And this data is I took Ember data out of the project. It's a fixed data set of 208 rows. Like, I don't think I need the all that extra power of Ember data. So instead, it's just a little JS file that I import here. It's a little bit prettier. And you see that it has a property called people. That's an empty array to begin with. And when it's constructed, it does this sort by name people. And this will let me, so I don't even have to actually do this way. I think if I just do this is sufficient. Because no, this will not be sufficient.
Drink all day and rock all night.
Yep. Okay.
Log on, you can't tell me no more right. Well, you know, people, it's like I said, you better head back to Tennessee jail.
Let's do this this way. So the sort worked. So I think this is probably the best way to do this. So the sort method on an array returns the array sorted, and it mutates the array. So I don't have to do this people equals this people dot sort like I would in pandas, for example. It does the mutation in place. So I don't know if this will complain about a linting problem, because this counts as a side effect, but we'll see. Nope, it's okay. Or it doesn't care. The visualization has a lot of side effects because it's badly designed. Okay, so this is looking good. So let's just quickly commit that. So, as you can see, there's these words here: name, age, race, origin, gender, family. The plan here is to have these be buttons that resort this and this. And I think that would be a pretty good idea. And I think that removing this hover, I'm kind of feeling removing this hover, because it doesn't, it's slow and it's confusing and it doesn't make any sense. There's in the keyboard doesn't work. There used to be keyboard interaction, but it doesn't work for some reason. So let's do a couple things here. So let's... Where is hover? Community tree person. So I can just... dislike. This was also causing problems because you see I have to do this kind of from element parent element stuff, and what ends up happening is, like, for some reason, if the mouse isn't on a pedal, it still fires the event, and then there's errors and stuff. So let's get rid of this hovering. This is it's too cute. Bye bye hover. Oh no, it's crashing. Because this isn't set. Alright, so the hover is gone. That's great. The pointer changes, so that indicates that there's something to click on here. And then this doesn't. So I feel that maybe it's not intuitive, but I like it. Then okay, so that's enough for the visualization for now. And let's move to this stuff. So I can describe what I want to have happen here. I want the names to be in 2 columns, so that you don't just scroll. Like, it's 2 columns, and if that means that this bites into this more, then so be it. But we have a couple things going in our favor here. One is, because the data is fixed, we know how long the longest name is, and I think it's Susanna Scott. I'm pretty sure this is the longest name. So the cell just has to be big enough for that longest name. So as long as this area here is big enough for Susanna Scott twice, then we know always it'll fit. And the way we do that is we stop. So currently I think that this is set to be 1/4 the width of the screen of the window, and this is 3/4 now. If I change this to a fixed number, this is currently 12 REM wide, I think, 12 rem wide. So 24 rem, maybe about 30 rem. If I set it to be 30 rem wide, then, you know, I'll have to make some math, like what if 30 rem is like the width of the whole screen or something, but I think at that point you're already in mobile breakpoints. Actually, let me...
Watch out, stray cat people. Look at the red roosters on the prowl.
Like as small as 640 pixels wide. I'm not sure, that seems many. iPhone SE pixels. .750 pixels at 326 ppi, so that'll be 750 divided. So yeah, so no, it's not gonna be 640. 40.
See the little red rooster, don't you please try to home.
Oh, it's this one.
If you see the little red rooster, please.
iPhone SE, 375. Okay, so it has to be, so minimum 375. So if it's 375 and so 375 divided, whoops, that's not it. 375, that's going to be that nonsense. 375 divided by 16. So 1 rem is 16, so this is 23. That can't be right. So 16 pixels. So, hypothetically, oh, sorry, that was probably off screen. So, get computer style, blah, blah. 16 pixels is the RAM size here. Okay, the RAM size, whatever. So, that means that if this is 375, then 375 divided by 16. So, it should be 24 rem wide. So, just under. So, if I do like that just doesn't seem right. Because this is supposedly 12 rem wide. I'm nearly positive. And then like, unless I'm completely misunderstanding. But rem works both up and down and left to right. It should be the same, right? Okay, well, let's just test this. let's hear it.
I'm a little red rooster, too lazy to go today.
So this W24 is the tailwind class that sets the wind. So let's
Too lazy to go today. Keep everything in the barnyard.
96. Oh, okay, so I must be I completely miscalculated. 24 is 6 rem wide, not 12, did I say? So, where was this? 96 should run off the side of the screen. That makes a whole lot more sense. Because that 24 is almost 1/4, or is 1/4 of 96. So, does this look like it's 1/4? Sure. So let's multiply that by 4. And yeah, so, okay, so that makes sense. So now we know that the maximum width that this can be, that this whole thing here can be, is 24 rem. And that gives a good sense of how big to make it in general. So let's just try that. Let's just make this 24 rem, just period. Now this is the width of an iPhone wide, and it probably makes sense. So like we have this kind of nonsense. So maybe just another pretty face. Maybe the fate of the feeling, sleeping in the chance to dream, honest to the point of reckless. Oh, because of this. So this can't be. So here we have what it would look like on something. This is maybe iPad width-ish or so. So this remains an iPhone wide, and then as it gets smaller and smaller, it's supposed to be responding. Okay, so let's do this way. So here we have. So this only shows at the medium breakpoint. So let's record here. So let's make it
Lay your head
like this.
sympathy.
Okay, so this is going to be like, it's just unfortunately weird. It would be cool to see if I can go shing, 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 shing like that, like do a super responsive grid where, so what I wanted was 2 columns, but now I guess I can get 3 out of this. And then here, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I could probably even fit 6 columns in here of names, which is pretty cool. And then when we go out here, then it just stretches out. So we know that because this is 6 rem, and this is 24 rem, so we know that we can fit 4 with no margins, no padding, but we can fit 3 comfortably. So I think that having 3 here is pretty good. It means that I don't have to change this font size at all, and it means that so it'll be the width of the Susanna Scott name, and I can just put in tons of padding or something, or not make it the full width of an iPhone screen. There are options. So, one thing I want to get rid of is currently this is what happens. So if I click on a name, it hops up to here and it shows like this. The problem here is that it doesn't change the URL at all. These should be links to this to a specific route. So let's start with that, because that's the big thing. So what are the changes?
Forgetting the love we bring.
Okay. So a couple things have to happen. So let's open up the So currently the way this works is it's a big list element, and it looks one way if it's active and another way if it's not. So the way this works is this is all a list, and this is just the first element of the list. Oh, I could actually have set this with the first pseudo selector, but it doesn't matter because this is all getting thrown away. And what I'd rather have is that this list stays as it is, because right now if you see it, Amelia jumps up to the top, and now Amelia is gone here, and now Andrew will be gone here. And that's kind of cool, but I'm not a huge fan of the way that this animation works, and I've tried to clean it up and I haven't had a ton of luck. And also, if this all stays in a list, then first off there's the confusion of, well, why isn't Andrew's name here anymore? And then also, what if I want to go directly to Andrew's page? I think if I click on this, it takes me to I can't remember. So let's do this. So we have to do 2 things here. One thing is
but I say no. Women got the metal like a puppet show. It's the people that say, little lady, the women that stay. I say, it's the women today, smarter than the man in every way. That's right, the women are smarter. That's right, the women are smarter. That's right, the women are smarter. The women are smarter. That's right, that's right. That's right, the women are smarter. That's right, the women are smarter. That's right, the women are smarter. The women are smarter. That's right. Don't understanding me. It's the people that say, men and ladies, the women that stay. I say, it's the women today, smarter than the men in every way. That's right, the women are smarter. That's right, the women are smarter. That's right, the women are smarter. The women are smarter. That's right. Yeah, put better women together. See which one is smarter. Some say men when I say that. Women got the men more than all she knows. Yeah, people that say they don't need the women to stay. That's right, the women are smarter. That's right, the women are smarter. That's right, the women are smarter. The women are smarter. That's right.
to move. Really had to move. That's why if you believe I'm on my belly knees. Don't you come around here anymore. Dress myself in green. Go back into the sea. Try to see what's going down. Lord, read between the lines. I had a feeling I was falling, falling, falling. I turned around to see. And a voice calling. You come running back to me.
That actually maybe murdered the bill. Oh, up there it is. Okay. Excellent. Okay, so the goal with this was to so now I've moved that entire sidebar into its own component, and it has little nested baby components inside of it. And all of these yields, what these yields provide is a kind of gap, is the gap into which the route is going to burrow. So if I go to making my camera sway back and forth. The shades are right behind the camera, and so when the wind is blowing and pushing the shades, it makes the camera swivel. Hopefully no one gets sick. Okay, so what was I going to do here? Open up a test. Return person ID, so that's just there for laughs. Now we have to do a couple other things. So one thing is the that list of people. Each element in the list was called person card, and that made sense when the list element would jump up to the top and then expand to be the card. Now that doesn't make any sense anymore because that's a list element, and the card is something different. That person will like get faded or disabled, or like the link will be disabled or whatever when they're the active person, or the something along those lines. But the person card is what's going to appear at the top, and the person list item is what's going to appear at the bottom. So what I need to do is create a new one more component, and then I think I'll be done with components for a little bit. So person's list item. That's why I'm on my knees. Don't you come around here anymore. And then if all I have here is the name, so then we can do this way. This will be pretty straightforward. So this data people is person card, person equals person. I mean, that's why I'm on that.
playing.
Oh no, I do need to send in the whole person because they're going to need the ID too. So this is person thing. Okay, so now we have let's just add our link. Okay, so, alright, so it fills in the ID correctly. Let's see what happens if I click on enter. Oof. Not exactly what I want. The way I do this, this isn't the way I do this. Oh, of course that doesn't work out to it. But that's not how to do this. The way to do this is a little bit goofy, but I think that this is rather idiomatic. So I have this route index, and then this route person. Let's do it this way. Path. And path will be people, person. And now the name of this route will be index person. Let's just do these. Path is sufficient. I think that there may also have to be a URL. There isn't a URL parameter in class. but I think it has to be done this way. I have a funny feeling it wants to call that index. So the route is index people. Index, yep, index people. Okay, so we're moving right along. Okay, so back to good, and then if I click here, ta-da, I'm the person outlet, but it doesn't give me the parameters. So I have here people P3, but it just says I'm person outlet, it doesn't list the ID. So, let's see why that is.
I'm on sleep for Vegas pain, like wise gold and true. But I would stay to learn the way to sink your ship of food, ship of food. On a cruise sea, ship of food. She's away from me.
I don't think this matters, but just
It was later.
okay, person ID. Aha!
When I first
So that did work, but not this time.
shared your laughter, ship of food.
It's probably going to complain.
So your first ship sinking drown from rocking of the boat.
I'm the person outlet, P110. Whoop, 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 whoop. Okay, so now we're sort of moving into what I want. So now if I click here, if I do Andrew, see, it changes to P6. Amelia changes to P110. Augusta, P112.
You sinking down
Super. Okay, now I have to stretch.
makes me wild.
It's after 4 anyway, so it's time to take a wee breako. So enjoy the Ship of Fools. I have been all twisty all day, but let's have some fun. A breaky break. 4:30 sounds good to me. I will rock with you all later.
Sail away from me. shepherd for whom?
Okay, I'm back. I'm a little late, sorry. It's not raining, but it feels like it's raining in the sense that everything is like achy and not quite right. But let's get back to the coding, because I think I can do quite a bit here in the last half hour of the stream. So, okay, so we have this thing showing up here, this I am the person outlet P12. So when I click on a name here, this floods in. The route changes. This may be tricky to see on screen, so take my word for it. But the chair is sliding around. It says here people P111. So that's sort of the ID that we're using, and so it just writes that there. I mean, there's nothing cooler there. Jeremiah says hello. Hello, Jeremiah. And that's great because the name stays here. It doesn't jump up anymore like it used to. So it stays here. So that's one good thing that I like. And Jeremiah approves of the new color scheme. The previous color scheme, it had. I liked it, but it had connotations. Okay, so let's build this out. So what I would like to do, so this is the person list item thing here. So the first problem is that we see that there's this little border here indicating the edge here, which suggests that this is larger. So if I go here, yeah, you can see that it's the whole width, 264 by 24. Whereas if I go up here, this one is just 96 wide, and it has all that orange there indicating the margin. So okay, so let's take care of that. Okay, so if this is active, do this kind of stuff. So all it does is it changes the background color. So let's keep the width. No matter what. So now it'll look a little bit goofy, but I think that that's okay. I mean, it's going to look goofy for a while. So now if I click here, so the border disappears and the color changes. So, I mean, we're working on it. We're making some progress here. Okay, so now that's all the right size, and then this is all okay. This all works fine as expected. But now we need to go in and have the card show up. So I'm going to go grab the already existing component person card. And put this inside the route. So there's a couple things I can do here. So one is so first off, this shouldn't be an LI, it should be its own thing, and it should be a section. No, it should just be a div, perhaps. And it shouldn't have that, and it will always be active, so and then this should not be in H4, this should be in H3. Maybe even in H2, we'll see. If this is active, again, it will always be active, so I can do all this. And this doesn't have to have any click logic. But person name makes no sense, so I need to do this person name. And then I need to do... So let's just change everything. Up a little bit. If this active, use no, don't need that if. That. Okay. So now I need to set the person. So if I go over here, I have all this stuff here. Okay. So I don't need this hidden bio thing anymore. I'll worry about that later. And let's delete this animation because I don't need it anymore. I don't need this active thing anymore. Active person. Yeah, so this would be set. So in the constructor, so I'm going to, I have a suspicion here. So let's chill for a second here. This, action we don't need, track we don't need, but we do need to add the data service. And then we need to do get, this data, people, filter, person, And then I need to pass that in. Okay, so that's in. Information. Nope. That's in the template. What do you think? Is it going to work? Oh, I murked it. What did I do wrong here? It's not a valid character without person card. Person card So this was kind of sloppy. My part. And now this should all be. It's a little bit irritating that Ember crashes. I think that this is related to using TypeScript. I have to like set the no and then. That it, like the server straight up punts. It doesn't just say, can't rebuild, there's an error. It just dumps. Where did my water go? Alright, I'll be right back. This is all open, running, no crashing, no crashing. Nope. Crash. Okay, so the problem. So okay, so here we see Anthony. I mean, it doesn't look good. There's no padding or anything like that. But the glitch here now is that if I click air. Okay, all right. So it works there, but if I load from scratch, you see that the Atom's thing isn't lit up. If I click on Atom, then it lights up. I anticipated this problem, and I think this will fix it.
Way down by the docks of the city.
So somewhere here in community tree person, setting the active ID.
August West, and I love my pretty baby bees more than my wife. More than my wife. More than my baby, though he's no friend of mine. Everyone said I come to know you. I knew I would truly believe them.
So this set active person
Half of my life, spending the time for some motherfucker's breath. The other half found me stumbling around jungle burgundy wine.
result of an unknown helper, result of an equal helper. So I wonder if that's because of this here. But active person is set to null to begin with. I feel like this should be in the service. Interesting. Maybe this gets set on on the route. Okay, so now it works. So now when I reload this from scratch, the Adam's petal colors in green. And this means that I don't even have to actually... I mean, I can return this person ID, but this is kind of... this is... I'm not sure that this is how this should be done. This kind of feels like it should be done in like a before model hook or something, but it's okay. And then so I can return nothing here. And then here, instead of the model, I can just not have anything. And then we're going to get some crashy, a whole lot of not useful stuff here. But if I... this is the person card. Right. So instead of this arg's person ID, I just do this active person ID. And now it's Adam again. Okay, so what I did there was I extracted. So now at the route level is where it sets the active person. So when you go instead of at the component level, and that like makes sense why you would want to do that instead. So I'm cool with that. And then at the route level, it sets the active person, and then it uses the ID of the active person. This component doesn't have to contact the route at all. It doesn't have to be passed in from the route because it's set on the service. So the component just has to call up the service and say, hey, which is the same thing. I mean, like this is this color because it called up the service and said, hey, am I the currently active ID? And the service said, you bet. And the same thing is true here. And now if I click here, then this still changes. So this all behaves appropriately. But this, oh, that's funny. So this route doesn't update. This updates, so everything updates here, but this stays at P2. No matter what I click on, it stays at P2. Okay, so let's do... Ember just changed how you do this, too. So this is on the route service. There is service router. So it would be on click this router transition to. Okay, this is perfect. This is exactly what I want. So this should work. Okay, so this works fine here. We don't need to get into any details here. However, components, information, this will be in the community tree person JS. So here we have like a handle click or something somewhere here. On click. Okay, so now it runs that command, but we don't actually want to run that command. We want to run a command, an action called handle click that I will create presently. I mean, there's just so much stuff here. Ugh. Okay. Okay, so first we have to bring the router in as a service. Then this router transition to, and then we transition to index person, and then not, and then the parameter that we feed is this arts person ID. Oh, of course, I didn't change the... oh, and then we also have to set the... do we? No, we don't, because it's set on the transition. Brilliant. Okay, so... I don't even need this FN, I just need this handle. Ta-da! Okay, it works. Oh, it's pretty zippy, too. Excellent. The keyboard still doesn't work, but that's okay. This is great. So much progress. Let's, oh, it's almost 5 anyway. Yeah, let's add a little bit of padding here just so it's a little bit... Well, let's center this because this is driving me bad. That's here. So let's see what I did. Wow. Okay. Alright, let's just add everything. So, but I do need to... Don't do this at home, kids. Oh, shoot.
See this old world that you let behind. You know that ain't right. There's one thing you can't do about it. Few times out, you gotta lie. Gotta cheat on, get it on, get it right. Come on now, turn on. Turn me right.
I mean, it's not so bad that Ember's component tests crash by default. My issue is that these are bad they're not bad blueprints, but they're blueprints I don't like. I don't like that this has text by default. I wish this was includes text, or contains text, or whatever it is. But yeah, so I'm just skipping all the tests here for now. So be mad. What did I want to do? Oh yeah, I want to do a quick little bit of CSS. So, okay.
You get it down. Give me to the love. Got that love. Give me to the love. Give me to the love. To the love. Good 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 love. Give me some love. Give me some love. Give me some love. Give me some love. Some love. Some love.
There's so much confusing stuff here. Oof.
She brings me coffee. She brings me tea.
So, alright, a couple things have to happen here. So, the age scale bar has to move down to here. And then this rectangle I don't need anymore. But this ellipse and this ellipse scale. These have to go into this group. So let me just get this straight in my head. So now everything's going to be weird because of the way the translation is described. See? So the ellipse doesn't need to be transformed. translate it anymore. Neither does this ellipse. And this is just doing the same transform over and over again. This is very extremely bad design by me. Okay, everything is back to where it belongs. And then we can translate this whole thing correctly. So it's always going to be it's always going to move half of the width over. So let's change this to div this SVG width 2. And then this add margins. Okay, this is correct. Okay, so it's centered. And that's it. No more beats, no more anything, so let's stop the stream. I might still keep on working on this because I think I'm in a bit of a groove, but it'll be, you know, I'll have some water and chillax and so on. So see you all next week, and hopefully I won't be working on this anymore. I'll be back on Wandertext because hopefully enough work will have been done on this to sort of let it hang out for a little bit again. But yeah, this is definitely coming along and is getting rather close to what I want. This is a little bit ridiculous, especially in contrast to this. Like perspective wise, but we'll see.